Welcome to TSTV, a podcast in which I, Sadie, guide my friend Lily through the wild world of Twin Peaks. Lily, how's it going?
It's going great, my friend. I got a nice limeade I pulled out of the fridge just now because I've been noticing that my mouth makes these awful sounds, and I feel like something acidic will help, dry it out in there. What a gross way to start this episode.
I was gonna say I didn't want to make you feel more awkward, and I'm like, yeah, I think that they teach that in media. The first thing you do in a podcast is get the audience thinking about those mouth sounds. God. We're sponsored by Nielsen's a year ago.
Now they won't be able to ignore them. But dear viewer, that is not all I'm drinking. I have a big, beautiful bottle of water, and I have a nice black Earl Grey tea. And how are you? Which presumably means, what are you drinking? That's not even what you asked me. But.
It's funny. I did catch you being like, yes, hello, viewers. This is some real the YouTuber speaks moment.
I said readers, then I said viewers. I don't think I said listeners.
Can the YouTuber speak? My favorite fucking political theory essay.
And everyone decided that yes, she can and she should.
I'm good. What am I saying? I mean, I finished my smoothie, so I'm sipping my coffee and my big mason jar of water.
Oh yeah.
Apart from like what we're sipping, what have you been up to this week?
Well, over the weekend I helped my younger sibling move into a new apartment. That was exciting. That was there was a whole thing with the U-Haul where I guess it just didn't show up at the U-Haul place. And I guess they don't keep more than a few trucks around, which is an interesting choice for a truck rental company. So we brought everything in our tiny little baby car, and it was fun. It was like a good bonding activity.
Fuck yeah.
And similarly, we also just went to IKEA with them yesterday to get some new home furnishings, which I just love IKEA. I just love being in there. It's exhausting.
Did you get that faggot shark?
No, they didn't have the shark. Why is the shark a faggot? This is news to me.
So this is just me. There was a post. There was just, hey babe, I'm going to IKEA. You want that stupid faggot shark? So.
Oh, is that the Blahage?
Yeah.
Right. They did have DJUNGELSKOG, which was big.
Oh, that's great. Do you know, man, also, I was really just running to get the first slur out on this podcast. Do you know that my ex, who we both know, we once we had not spoken for several years, and our first interaction was them emailing me just saying hey, just so you know, I saw a post of yours. I know that you hadn't, because anyway, maybe I'll cut this, but it is funny that they were hey, I wasn't snooping on your posts, but one did come my way, and it was about DJUNGELSKOG. And I was like, well, if I'm going to get an email from my ex who I haven't heard from in 3 years, at least I'm glad that it's about DJUNGELSKOG,
About a post you made? Wait, what?
Yeah.
Is this the ex that I think it is?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm just baffled at the choice to reach out over...
I think it was because there had been previous discussions about are they snooping on my posts after we broke up,
Oh, funny.
I may or may not just cut this entirely, but
yeah, sure. It brings people together.
Yeah, so true. But I don't know what else has been up with you, if there is any. But I can also just talk about my week.
Yeah, tell me about your week.
I mean, I've been pretty inside. My girlfriend Maya has been working at a kid summer camp and caught a kid sickness, unfortunately. So I'm maybe got it, maybe didn't, but I've just been inside to be safe. But it was very funny. Maya was been trying to get me to watch the new Interview with the Vampire TV show for quite some time. And
right.
We started it, and then I was so sucked into it that just throughout his work week, just on Discord calls, we watched all 2 seasons in less than a week.
Oh wow, it was that good, eh?
Yeah, it's very, very fun. It has just the right I think, balance of like it's kind of CWE and like kind of corny, but also kind of goes hard, you know? It's
Hell
like
yeah.
it's like prestige-y, but not too prestige-y. It knows when it's time to be stupid. It's very, very fun. I definitely it was a great show to like speed through with my girlfriend.
Oh, love that. That's awesome.
I actually also watched with her Chunking Express, which I had never seen, which was fucking great. Have you seen it?
Fuck yeah. I have seen it. Oh man, I think I saw like 90% of it and I don't know why I didn't finish it.
Oh man, the ending is great.
Oh, yeah, I feel like I would remember it then. Yeah, I was big into it. Beautiful movie, just the kind of thing you want to luxuriate in, you know? And I've also fucking started and failed to finish Fallen Angels, his other very good famous movie.
Yeah, I really want to see more by him now. I mean, honestly, I just like really respect. I was so enamored by like Faye. The Chunking Express is like 2 romance stories back to back, and they're both kind of strange in different ways. And the second one has Faye Wong as like a girl who works at a kind of like diner who is enamored with this guy and ends up with keys to his apartment from his ex. And just like starts breaking into his apartment while he's working during the day, and just like starts out as like she's kind of illicitly like covering her tracks and like, you know, putting on his ex's clothes and stuff. But then like over the course of seemingly like a month, just like is basically like he just got dumped and his apartment is a mess and he's just like cleaning the whole place. She's just like going through and like replacing everything in a way that like the movie is very coy about whether he is just self-absorbed or like out of it enough to not notice, or if he does obviously notice and is just in on this elaborate role play romance where she just like breaks into his apartment and they both pretend that they don't, it's not obvious that she's doing this as she like completely redecorates it. It's great. I love it.
That's so interesting, eh? Man.
Yeah.
Anyway, this show is like as far as you can get from that. So let's take a trip out to the west coast of the United States of America. I'll get the impression down eventually.
So right. Are you trying to be Dale Cooper?
I was like half trying to be David Lynch.
Oh, listen. You've got to the west coast of the United States to the town of Twin Peaks. Let's open up with what the log lady has to tell us.
There is a sadness in this world, for we are ignorant of many things. Yes, we are ignorant of many beautiful things, things like the truth. So sadness in our ignorance is very real. The tears are real. What is this thing called a tear? There are even tiny ducts, tear ducts, to produce these tears should the sadness occur. Then the day when the sadness comes, then we ask, will this sadness which makes me cry, will this sadness that makes me cry my heart out, will it ever end? The answer, of course, is yes. One day the sadness will end.
I have no idea how to connect this to the episode.
Yeah. Also, I realized I didn't say what episode this is, but this is episode 3, Rest in Pain. I mean, yeah, the only note that I had is just like, I love how much, like, I introduced these as like, because I'd never actually watched these the first time I watched the shows. This is my first time seeing all these. Like, the wiki said that they were put out with, when it was put into syndication to like catch people up on the show. And each new one that we watch makes that idea like more and more ridiculous and funnier.
Yeah, all this one really tells you is like there is sadness. That's about it. It's an interesting commentary. I like the fact that it ends with one day the sadness will end sort of goes against the episode to me. Like the episode the tragedy doesn't seem to have any sign of abating. So it's interesting.
Okay, one other silly note is just that I really did think she was just saying, like, there are even tiny ducks. Just like, there are tiny ducks in the world. But, okay, because she does say the sadness is because we are ignorant of many things like the truth. And I wonder if that is, like, the thing to latch onto. Like, obviously, Dale, as we will get to, is, like, you know, very, like, announcing to the audience that if you, you know, solve his dream, you solve the case. And, like, that he is on a quest for the truth. I feel like there's maybe something here about, like, people being ignorant of beauty. Like, I definitely made notes about when we get to, like, Dale and Albert have a confrontation, because, like, Dale says that, like, Albert is not able to recognize, like, the things that are beautiful about the town of Twin Peaks. And I don't know, let's, like, maybe there are other moments here of, like, other characters who are, like, have something beautiful but aren't, or, like, are ignorant of it in some way. But I don't know, that feels like the thing here. But, like, the sadness that makes you cry, it will end, but also, yeah, it is, like, related to being ignorant of beauty and of, like, the truth in some kind of way. Yeah,
you're right.
I don't know, though. This is definitely me taking as much as I can out of it, you know?
No, but I think you're right. And maybe as we go through now, that'll be helpful to keep in mind. Because I didn't watch this before watching the episode. Maybe that would change how I'm sort of thinking about it now.
Well, in any case, I guess we can, like, just go ahead and recap the episode. So after last week's crazy cliffhanger, in which, you know, Coop had a dream that he said he knew killed Laura Palmer, Cooper announces almost, like, directly to the camera that his dream contains clues that will solve everything, but also that he forgot the most important part. As a sign that he has become a bona fide citizen of Twin Peaks, the Bookhouse Boys invite him into their secret club dedicated to fighting the ancient evil in the woods. To that end, they've kidnapped a French Canadian. Laura Palmer's funeral inspires the men of Twin Peaks to punch each other. Meanwhile, Audrey uses a secret passageway to spy on her family. Josie fears for her life. Norma's husband might be out of jail soon, and Leland is really breaking down, unconsoled by the appearance of a mysterious niece. But doesn't she look almost exactly like Laura Palmer?
Bravo, my friend.
I have fun. I also have some trivia about this episode. Again, just kind of things in clicking around on the Wikipedia that I found funny, but this was directed by Tina Rathborn, who is just, like, brought in for directing here. Her and David Lynch met when she cast David Lynch in her 1988 film Zelly and Me. So David Lynch at the time was dating Isabella Rossellini, who, like, was a co-star in this movie. And so David Lynch was just brought in to play, like, Rossellini's love interest here. At Rossellini's, like, the line of the Wikipedia says, Lynch agreed to take part in the film at Rossellini's behest in order to overcome his fear of acting, which is very, very funny to me. I also just, like, this movie is, what is this? Like, this movie is about a young girl being taken care of by her nanny, who is played by David Lynch's girlfriend at the time. There's a lot going on. Yeah, I love just looking into the weird trivia here. I looked at some of the reviews that the wiki had on this movie. One reviewer said that he found that Lynch and Rossellini seemed creepy, whether they intended to or not. Which is so funny.
That's so funny. So as of now, I really can't picture David Lynch as an actor, but I believe he's in the show later, right?
He is, yeah.
And how do you think he does? Like, how do you think he is as an actor?
Man. He's very, like, he's being David Lynch, you know? Basically. It's, I don't know, it's just, like, it's very funny to me that he was just brought in on this to cure him of his fear of acting. He's like, yeah, you can direct an episode of Twin Peaks.
That's really cool.
shall we jump into the scene by scene?
Yeah, sure. I would love to recap the first couple scenes for us.
Yeah.
In particular, because I thought of something in the title sequence this episode.
Ooh.
Which is, I think you've called attention to the like welcome to the town sign before. And this time I got thinking about the population count on there. It says population 51,201. You know, that one is conspicuous because that does imply that it is like an exact number,
Yeah, right?
right? This is like we
Yeah.
counted every single person in the city. This is not an estimate. And that just kind of got me thinking, sort of, you know, as Laura left immediately after Dale Cooper entered and is like totally ingratiating himself to the town and seems, as we'll see, like interested in staying here even. So that just kind of got me thinking about like the various ways that people are trying to replace Laura, you know, including maybe Dale. Anyway, from there we fade into the Great Northern, the hotel. Audrey is in this sort of like daydream fantasy thing. Her eyes are closed. She's looking away. And it looks to me like she's like imagining the credits. Like it felt to me like she's also watching the show, you know? She's hiding behind a pillar or...
Yeah, she's hiding. It's like a corner or a pillar or something.
Yeah, she's kind of hiding around the corner waiting for Agent Cooper to come out towards the like dining hall. She welcomes him. Dale says like, join me for breakfast. And she like pretends to take a little bit of convincing, even though she is obviously here for him. They take a seat. Dale is being a little bit, I don't know, a little bit flirtier than we had seen him previously.
Yeah.
And that seems to be because he wants something out of her, which is for her to write her name on a piece of paper. She does that without question, allowing him to then like compare the handwriting and see that, in fact, Audrey had previously slipped him a note under his door.
Yeah, I think also this is like, he's like, oh, that's quite a scent you're wearing. But it's presumably because like we saw him like smell the note that he was slipped. This is his detective sniffer in action.
Oh my god, yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
That makes so much sense. So from there, Dale tells Audrey, there's something you'd like to tell me. Which of course is true. Do you remember what happens from there?
Yeah, I mean, I know that she says that she like, yeah, so he asks about One-Eyed Jack's. I think she says that it's like a place over the border where men go. He's like, oh, do girls go there? And he's like, well, she's like, well, they work there. And he asks if Laura worked there. And she says, no, she worked at, or she doesn't know, but Laura worked at the perfume counter at Horn's department store. And, you know, he goes, oh, that's where Ronette Pulaski worked.
Mm-hmm.
So connections, he is finding the connections.
Indeed. And can I just note that like it's interesting to have perfume be such a big part of a TV show when that's like the one sense that you cannot convey on television.
Yeah.
Just the fact that, yeah, they both work at the perfume counter. Audrey is very conspicuously wearing and spraying perfume. I'm curious to know what that means. Audrey being like the scented one, if you will.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, yeah, there's definitely something there with like, you know, her kind of, she's seductive or like sensual. Is like she's being, you know, cast this way, but also that there is something about her that's like you were saying, kind of like, I don't know, outside, like, you know, we talked about her being dreamlike and kind of like connecting to something outside of the show. I wonder if like the scent, like you're saying, could be something there about like she is aligned with this the sense that the show is not able to portray. Like, I don't know, like in that, like she is, you know, like that, it like scent is kind of otherworldly to a TV show character in that they don't live it. You know what I mean?
Wow, interesting.
I don't know. I'm just riffing, but
I like that. I mean, I was just saying that she has access to some sort of like beyond thing. That's very interesting, Sadie. I like that. So then Dale like looks at her handwriting and goes like, this indicates a romantic nature, your rightward slant in your handwriting. This man is a genius. He works by such ridiculous rules. I have it in my notes that he basically does like divination and it works.
Yeah.
You know, because he seems to always be right about everything despite using these very silly methods like handwriting analysis.
It's also like a very funny way, I think, of just doing like the guy who like speaks the truth of the world into the show, like just announces your character trait to you, you know? And it tells her, you know, like, be careful. And I love her, like, I do, like, kind of question mark there.
Yeah.
My only other note on this bit was, like, that when we start seeing Audrey, there's also, like, close up on, like, this wooden fish statue that then pans to Audrey. And, like, the wooden fish statue that's, like, in the Great Northern. And I was like, is that telling us something? Listen, I mean, she's fish. We do know this. But...
well, obviously.
Yeah, like we've talked about her being performant. I don't know. I think the big thing that I wrote down, like, from the whole fucking Mike speech from last episode was him saying, like, I mean it like it is, like it sounds. I feel like there was a lot of things in that. But that, I think, flags to me that there's, like, a degree that we should be looking at, like taking symbolism at face value, or maybe at, like, double entendre value, or at, like, you know, like, if they show us a fish and then Audrey, is there something, is she a catch? Is she, I don't know, like, I don't know. This is all very loose, but I think that, like, how much, like, that was, like, just, he really turned at the camera and was like, I mean it like it is, like it sounds. I don't know. It makes me like want to try to, like, just really take these like very, not literal really, but kind of like, yeah, face value, like, images that the show throws at us and being like, what does that, what happens if we just apply that? I don't know if that really gets us anywhere in this scene, but I don't know.
But it's interesting. We should keep track of that. Fish are a motif that I think they want us to have noticed. I mean, the fish in the percolator in the coffee a couple episodes ago, right?
True.
Lord knows what it means, but there have been a couple prominent fish so far.
I mean, shit. I mean, I wonder if there's even something about, like, how Laura Palmer washed up on shore, you know?
Dude. Yeah, kinda.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway. From here, Lucy and, is it Lucy and the sheriff that walk in?
Yeah, Lucy and Harry, yeah.
Yeah, Lucy and Harry walk in, and Audrey excuses herself. Lucy, Harry, and Dale take a seat for breakfast. Of course, Lucy and Harry being eager to hear, you know, who killed Laura Palmer. At this point, I remember that's why they're here. I was like, like, oh, what a nice little chill breakfast they're having, just as friends. Nope. At this point, Cooper starts to, like, recount his dream in about as much detail as we did last time, so I don't feel like I really need to repeat it, except he does call attention to a couple interesting, you know, phrases like fire, walk with me, being tattooed on one of the dudes.
Well, I think I do want to, like, yeah, I love that we start out with him talking about his breakfast, because he just really, again, in Twin Peaks fashion, is straight off just like, he says, there's nothing like the taste sensation when maple syrup, and he slaps his hands, collides with ham. Like, truly, this man has to talk about what he is eating and drinking before Who Killed Laura Palmer at every opportunity.
Yeah, he's just not that stressed. He seems so confident, you know? I mean, this is the reason they're meeting for breakfast, even though he knew who killed Laura Palmer in the middle of the night. He was like, no, it can wait. He seems to value the simple things in life, you know? And he's right about maple syrup and ham, by the way. That's a fantastic combo.
It's so true. But also, like, I noticed that parts of what he says were in his dream, like, weren't actually what we saw. I think, like, he says...
Oh my God?
Well, yeah, because, like, I mean, you know, like, we saw, like, this strange, like, kind of flashing of images, and then, like, Mike's and narration, and then Bob's speech. And he said, like, you know, you were there to Harry, and Lucy, so were you. And he's, like, getting into more detail about saying, like, you know, like, Mike and Bob were killing people, and they had a tattoo on their arm saying Firewalk with me, and then he cut it off. And, like, that's more kind of, I don't know, prosaic or literal than the dream, which was, like, just these, like,
That's
flashing
true.
images and all this, and, like, this bizarre poem, you know?
That's a good point. Yeah, well, Dave is one to change things on the fly. As we know, like, many changes were made during shooting, even to add, like, quite important characters.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if this is just a consequence of, like, him changing his mind in the edit.
I mean, I also wonder if there's something going on about, like, how we remember dreams, and, like, that what was as a dream just kind of like these flash of all these images, like, when he remembers it gets, like, solidified into, like, a narrative, you know?
Oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's always interesting how you can, like, I don't know, there was this, like, Tumblr post going around where, like, in a dream you can be underwater and at the same time be thinking, oh yeah, this is the Walmart that my uncle owns.
Yeah.
On the imperfection of remembering dreams, Dale doesn't remember who killed Laura Palmer. He remembers these like vivid details of the dreams, but not what Laura's duplicate says, whispers into his ear. But he seems to think that they can sort of retrace their steps. There's this line that I see you've written down here: break the code, solve the crime.
Yeah.
So he thinks it's a question of sort of unraveling the rest of the dream.
Which is certainly, I mean, again, they're like, I said that this was like, feels very like at the camera in a way. Like, if we're talking about, like, you know, it's funny, we talked about, like, you know, like whether or not we're kind of like solving Twin Peaks as a puzzle box, but he sure is like, my dream is a code. This code dream will solve the crime of who killed Laura Palmer. Is like quite a thing to just like announce, right? Like, this is definitely inviting a reading that if we like figure out what all the things in the dream meant, then we will have solved the crime, you know?
Right. You know, I think a little bit of my, I need to sort of relax on my instincts on this, because usually when I'm watching something that is, you know, deliberately dense and symbolic and confusing, I tend to just let it like wash over me and not worry too much about every little thing. And I think a lot of people's dislike for really like abstract, thematically dense shows is that they're trying too hard to understand every little thing. But at the same time, yeah, it's very possible that this is like the appeal of Twin Peaks. After all, this was like a huge show where people were really like trying to figure out who killed Laura Palmer. Like, I think that is a big part of the draw.
But at the same time, like, you know, like we have talked about how like we know extra-textually that like David Lynch did not have a plan to reveal the killer at this point, right? Like, he did not know who he thought the killer was necessarily, right? And his kind of dream for the show was to just kind of get lost in the soap opera of it all and kind of never reveal the killer, you know? And
that's so interesting.
Oh, have we not talked about that?
I don't know if we have. Maybe we have.
Oh man. Well, yeah, I mean, this was certainly like, we'll get onto all this later on, and like I don't think this counts as a spoiler necessarily, but yeah, like there are, in the same way, like why I say sometimes you can't really decode Twin Peaks as a puzzle block, is he did just kind of want to explore all this and like have Laura's killing be something that is like the show is kind of orbiting around, but not necessarily be solved. So I think, and I like, you know, I often like tell people, and I think I've told you, like, you can just let Twin Peaks wash over you, you know? because a lot of these things, you know, sometimes there are like kind of one-to-one, like, you know, code images, symbolisms, but also like, you know, David Lynch works very intuitively, he works very affectively, and a lot of stuff that is in here is about, I think, building an affect and building a like vibe and letting that wash over you, you know, like, and even like when there are images that are like, this is a code for this other thing, you know, like when she says my arms bent back, or like, you know, when like, oh, that's her cousin, but doesn't she look like Laura Palmer? That's when, you know, Laura Palmer's cousin shows up, played by the same actress, and like that is
crazy, kind
of a like one-to-one, like that's what that clue meant, but it's also in a very like dreamlike intuitive, like it's not like it's very strange, and it's very like it's kind of relying on this, you know, kind of like we saw last episode, this like sense of intuition and of like dream logic more than any like actual you know, like brain genius fucking BBC Sherlock logic, you know?
No, you're right. And it's totally encouraging us to like think about things in the same way David Lynch does.
Well, and so I guess like this ties to my other big note, is that he says, you know, Dale's talking about dreams, and he says high voltage impulses in the brain become pictures, which become dreams. And I guess this actually kind of speaks to what I was saying, of like he's saying like we do, like get these like flash of images, and then our brain constructs a dream narrative about that. But he's like, no one knows where the pictures come from. So this is like, you know, kind of gesturing it that he's getting, you know, messages. But like this is also, I don't know, I'm still on electricity watch. And also like high voltage impulses create these pictures which become dreams is very like, that's how film works, right? You are making a bunch of pictures and moving between them, and now you have made a TV show or whatever.
That's so true.
And, you know, again, we've talked a lot about David Lynch thinks of movies and thinks of TV shows as like dreams and as like very related to dreams.
Yeah.
And I don't know, we just keep getting these associations, and I wonder like then if there's even things here about like, is break the code, solve the crime, like there are codes in Dale Cooper's dream that will reveal the killer of Laura Palmer, or is it like use this kind of dream, like is the dream just the show of Twin Peaks that we are watching, you know, and is there like a code within the show at large that is working in this same kind of dream logic code way? I don't know, stuff to think about,
much to think about. Yeah, I'm not sure what camp I'm in, but this feels like a good indication that we should not close ourselves off to any possibility as far as like frameworks of analysis. You know, if something feels right, I want to hear it. I want to hear the fish stuff, you know?
My other note on this is just like, I love Lucy and how she's like so attentively like taking notes on everything about dreams. And like, I love how when he's like, dang, I can't remember like who, when she whispered the name of her killer. And like Lucy and Harry are both like, dang, they're just like really like, fuck, we almost got it. It's so funny.
Yeah, she really wants to do a good job. And I think she's like a little bit self-conscious about being like the one non-detective at the table. So she, like the fact that they both say dang specifically.
Yeah, it's
she's
really
like
good.
Taking after them in a way that's very sweet, you know?
It's really good. So do you have any other thoughts on this scene, or shall we move on?
Let's keep it going.
Alrighty. So next up, of course. So Harry gets a call saying that there's a fight at the morgue. And so, you know, or no, does Dale get, or I guess is Harry? No, yeah, it's Harry gets the call. So they head over, and Albert, who was Harry's, persnickety FBI colleague who showed up, is having a big argument with Dr. Hayward over whether to release the body, Laura Palmer's body, to the funeral, or whether Harry can keep doing his fucking forensic tests. I made a note as like, you know, when we show in, Albert is saying like, I'm sentimental. I'm the Sultan of sentiment. And but then he fucking like takes the drill to start like presumably drilling into Laura Palmer's body and really gives it like a so silly.
That's sick and twisted. Like this. Okay, I'm a real weenie when it comes to like body horror, but just the implied possibility of a drill being drilled into Laura Palmer's head.
Yeah.
Just really, yeah. Holy shit, dude. I wanna specifically take note that he was trying to drill a hole in her forehead, which is like, that's a thing, right? Is it called trepanation?
That sounds right.
Which is, I'm looking it up. I meant to look this up before.
It is, yeah.
I'm just going to read off Wikipedia here. The intentional perforation of the cranium exposes the thick membrane that surrounds the brain and spinal cord to treat health problems related to intracranial diseases, etc., etc. Like this is sometimes still occasionally done, even though it is not really medicinal. People will be driven to do it by really exceptionally bad headaches, for example. Yeah, I don't know what to make of this, although I do think it's interesting because that's not something that you have any reason to do to a corpse, right?
I mean, I think there's definitely like, well, go ahead.
Especially hearing this right after we're coming out of the like, this is how dreams happen in the brain physically thing.
True. He's trying to get in on that brain juice. But like for real, I don't know. There's something there. But
yeah.
I mean, yeah. So the other big thing is Albert is being a shithead to everyone, and Harry punches him. Punches him right out, and Cooper intervenes, says, "All right, listen, you're releasing the body. It's going to the funeral," and he kind of like rearranges Laura Palmer's body and calls it a day. But I mean, speaking of like getting in on the brain, the dream juice, I feel like there is something here going on about like, I don't know, to connect to the last scene, like he's being very clinical in how he's trying to analyze Laura Palmer's body and is like missing, he's literally dissecting it. And there he has like, and then, I think the speech that Dale gives him is like, you don't see the beauty. He's like, in my time in Twin Peaks, I've seen like, people here have beauty and honor. Oh no, wait, that's in the later episode scene with the two of them. But
oh yeah,
I feel like there's something there where like, I feel like then if we're saying that like, we're talking about like this kind of dream logic and this feels almost like saying, okay, we are breaking the code of this dream, but don't be too clinical and don't be too like literal. Don't be too don't just like dissect the show and like take it apart piece by piece as Albert would do to Laura Palmer. You also have to understand the like affective and emotive nature of it, in the way of like you have, he has to understand that it's time to bury her for like emotional reasons,
Absolutely. You can't understand a person by just physically examining their brain. You miss out on the subjectivity of that, for example.
Well, and it feels like this is saying something also just about like understanding Twin Peaks, the show,
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah,
I meant the brain thing more as like as a microcosm
autonomy.
Yeah. This scene opens with one of the hardest lines in television history. "You're the most cold-blooded man I've ever seen. I've never in my life met a man with so little regard for human frailty." Holy shit, that's so good.
That is really good.
And I agree. So this Albert is the outside doctor, right? He really feels like someone who is capable of murder. Like he was fully prepared to drill a hole in this poor girl's head. And actually, I notice in this scene generally, people except Dale don't seem that concerned with the integrity of Laura's body, right? Like when when Harry punches Albert in the face, he lands on top of the body and just like no one seems like offended or scandalized by that, but it's such a, for me that felt like such a claustrophobic sort of uncomfortable thing for this older male doctor to be on top of her like that, you know? Oof.
And I mean, I think that it is like, you're right that they are concerned that the body won't be ready for the funeral for like the town to process, you know?
Yeah.
Which again, I don't know, there's something there about Laura, even in this moment in death, is like something for the, like, belongs to the town more than she belongs to herself, you know?
Yes, absolutely. I agree. Yeah. So in this moment, Cooper, I think, gives a show of decency. I think the way that he like places her arm back up after it's fallen is just like, that's a very tender moment, you know, and it's nice, especially since, you know, we saw him kiss her in the dream last episode, and that made me think, ooh, that's kind of skeevy.
Well, as in, I don't know, what's the connection there for you?
Okay, yeah. Last episode, Dale and whoever that was, maybe Laura, kissing. I don't remember exactly what I said, but I don't know. It left a bad feeling in me because it feels like this is a much older man investigating, you know, the violent death of someone who's just barely not a child. So I guess seeing him treat her cadaver like with care like that in that moment just made me feel like, okay, this is someone who you know, has respect for Laura and is not just interested in taking ownership of her.
Yeah, I mean, listen, this is all stuff that I think we should keep an eye on.
Cool.
Do you have other thoughts here, or shall we move on?
I guess just that these opening couple scenes are quite long, and I really enjoyed that. Like they're longer than average. I think each one was 5 or 6 minutes. Yeah, and I just dug that. I feel like the huge amount of characters we've been keeping track of.
Yeah, no, I mean, the show is definitely very happy to kind of just like throw you a little like 30-second scene of like, here's what this person's up to in between everything else. So yeah, no, it's definitely nice to be able to sit with these a bit. From there, we go to the Palmer household. We open up where Leland is watching Invitation to Love. Did you think this Invitation to Love was going to come back?
No, I thought it was like a one-off joke, honestly.
Well, joke's on you. Because it's back. My first notice, I just fucking love Chet as like in the like little Invitation to Love interest, like being introduced. His like, I have I have this picture here from the wiki. I'm just gonna send it to you to jog your memory. It's just, you know,
yeah.
What's the name of the fucking actor who plays him in this show? It's fun. Oh, you know, Lance Davis as Chet, and we just see him making this fucking face. I love. It's so funny.
That's so funny.
So yeah, this is the kind of like soap opera in the show that has now like reappeared in people watching it. We are now also introduced to Jade and Emerald, both played by the same actress. That would be crazy if that happened in Twin Peaks. That would be crazy. Wow, yeah, it really is like, yeah, like happens in fucking Invitation to Love, and then like
then happens in the show.
Oh wait, no, Lance Davis is the name of the real actor. God, this is so funny. So I'm fucking looking at the wiki and I'm really getting the Lance Davis appears as Martin Padley, the actor who portrays Chet Weems. His name is Chet Weems. So funny.
Wait, so crazy that not only does the fictional character have a show, the fictional actor portraying the fictional character has a name. Sorry, not a show, a name.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We're real fucking like Midsummer Night's Dream. We're a couple layers in by now.
Seriously.
So yeah, we have this. What is this? I think is it Chet who's like writing a suicide note before Barge Jade, and he's saying like, my dearest, my darling daughter Jade, big pause, and Emerald. He's writing it. Jade forces her way into his office and tearfully begs him to reconsider, saying he has too much to live for. They embrace. Now, okay, I mean, again, this is a very funny little joke, like sitcom, or not sitcom, soap opera in the soap opera, but like, this sure is, fucking Chet. Oh no, it's Jared. Jared is writing a suicide note. Jared Lancaster is, super depressed, and then his daughter shows up, who is, one of two people played by the same actress, and they embrace, and he has too much to live for. Cut to real life. Leland Palmer is being given a shot, presumably the same, like, sedative, whatever kind of anti-anxiety thing that we saw Sarah Palmer be given, and is having a miserable time. And then someone walks in who is played by the same actor as Laura Palmer, and calls him Uncle Leland. So presumably his niece. He greets her as Madeline. She says, "I am Uncle Leland. I am so sorry." And they embrace. Oh, and the other line that I like wrote down from the fucking invitation to love is like Jade at the door saying, "Daddy, please, I know you're in there." Just like very, I don't know, like, I know you're in there. What does this mean? Like, is this something with, like, as Leland is receiving his sedative, like, there's I don't know, there's a lot going on. And then, like, yeah, that this Madeline is here. What do you think about this Madeline character?
Let me take a look. She looks almost exactly like Laura. I thought about looking up whether it was the same actress, but it clearly is.
Oh yeah,
she is just in this one shot, and then I don't think we see her again.
Yeah, Cheryl Lee is here, who played Laura Palmer. The wiki says that, like, yeah, so actually, like, she thought she was just going to be in the pilot, but like David Lynch was actually really impressed with her performance and just like called to bring her back in. It's like, we'll figure out a way to get you in. And this was how, as Laura Palmer's cousin, which is very funny to think, like, was that something that he actively had in mind? Probably, like, when he filmed the, like, she's my cousin, but doesn't she look almost exactly like Laura Palmer in the dream? Who I don't know. But either way.
Oh, man.
This sure is, like, another one of the things from Dale's dream that is, like, manifesting before us.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, I love that it is giving us more and more reason to believe in his tactics. Madeline showing up and Leland being just instantly very, very emotional to see her, more so than you would expect of, like, just, seeing a relative, even in a difficult time. I think, and I wonder whether this is another case of, like, people trying to fill Laura's position, fill the void that she left. We see so little of her here that I don't really know, but their instant, like, closeness in the scene definitely made me think that. It also made me think of Mulholland Drive, where I don't remember the exact thing they did with the casting there. Is it that the two leads swap roles at some point?
I think they are the same characters, but they're like, they kind of like awaken from the dream and their circumstances are reversed, I think.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, thought of that. I would love to rewatch Mulholland Drive, actually.
Oh, that would be a fun little bonus sometime.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, that's all I've got for this scene. I'm watching this space. I will say the casting of Cheryl Lee as Madeline is downright Lynchian.
Fuck off. But yeah, no, I mean, it's kind of wild. Like, it's, I don't know, there's just like, it's a very short scene, but we are getting the, like, cousin payoff, and also, like, how much the events that are happening in this, like, little joke like soap opera in the show are like lining up with what is happening, you know, literally in the scene. Very, very worth noting. And that's just like, I don't know. So from there, we have a short little scene at the Double R diner. Norma is talking with her husband's parole officer, I believe. Basically just saying, you know, he could be out soon. I feel like this is basically just like setting up. We know that Norma is not too happy about being married to him, and neither is Ed, of course, because they have a romance. I think this is kind of just setting up. Watch out, your homicidally jealous husband might be out of jail soon. This could complicate your romance. And I guess, you know, she says that she could get him a job at the Double R as part of his parole because she owns it. I don't know. Any thoughts from you on this scene?
Yeah, not so much. It feels like it's really just setting up something in an episode or two.
Yeah, and you know, very, very soap opera stuff also.
Yeah, totally.
So let's see. Oh yeah, we have another little scene. Cooper and Harry are popping by Leo Johnson's home just to kind of ask about where he was when Laura was murdered. He kind of Leo's saying, "Oh, I don't have any criminal record." Cooper's like, "Well, yes, you do." Oh, and actually, yeah, the first, this is very funny. I joked in the fucking log lady thing about there are even tiny ducks, but he does say the first thing he gets there is, "Look at that, ducks on the lake." So I don't know, maybe we're on duck watch.
Look, she meant it like it is, like it sounded.
Exactly. Yeah. I also just really like, it's like, Leo, is that short for Leonard? We don't really get any revelations here. He says that, you know, Shelley will confirm that he called from Butte, and that, you know, I know who she was. Everybody did. Again, just kind of saying like Laura was the darling of the town. But I don't know, just kind of another scene that feels kind of like a. I feel like the way this show handles the ensemble cast is we have scenes that are just like, hey, let's check in on what they're doing, and that's what this feels like.
Yeah. Well, this one in particular feels like, I'm not sure if Dale Cooper had met Leo before, right? So this is maybe just, we need these characters to know each other. Yeah,
this makes sense. So, you know, moving on from there, we're actually like in the lead up to the funeral. Do you want to take this one as we go to the Briggs household?
I do, because I love this scene. In the Briggs household, we get young boy Bobby, little chaos child. He's in a very nice looking suit facing away from the camera, in his family's dining room, where is placed a crucifix with two like palm fronds off at diagonal angles. Bobby is sort of like stretching out in this weird, unnatural position. I wrote it's sort of like he's like testifying in one of the churches where you do that.
Huh. I mean, yeah, he definitely seems like he's like imitating the crucifix almost. And then, like, I love how he like reaches up. It looked like he was gonna like grab it almost.
Yeah, you know, I don't figure him for a man of God so much, but this was interesting having him just, you know, have this little solo moment. But then his dad comes in, the Mr. Big Army Major General. Fuck me if I know what his job title is. He has a seat with his son and tries to have like a little heart to heart about, you know, it's like, it's normal to be afraid and such of the funeral of your murdered girlfriend. Meanwhile, Bobby just has his like his lighter out, and he's just holding his hand above it and bringing it closer and closer and like flirting with the flame a little bit. And his dad just doesn't remark on this. And
again, his dad is really like giving a sermon of just like, now I know, Bobby, if many of I don't remember what exactly he says, but like it's very, you know, the 4-syllable words are pouring out of this guy, you know?
Yeah. And so he's trying to help his son through this, you know, this difficult loss. And this is one of the first moments that we really get much sympathetic from Bobby. He responds to his dad, "What's the good of putting a body in the ground?"
Ride the world.
What was that?
Oh, could you hear that? Sorry.
Yeah, what the fuck was
Sorry,
that?
I was pulling up a clip to to reference of just when I think this is later on, when Bobby's like, I am not afraid of any damn funeral, just really reminded me of a bit from one of those the fucking like Whitest Kids You Know or whatever, one of those which fucking comedy thing is it, of just the fucking roller coaster that kills you, Mr. Show, of just the guy being like, I ain't afraid of no roller coaster. This is what it was giving to me.
That's really funny. Yeah, so Bobby has this big outburst, phenomenally acted, where he goes like, afraid? Afraid of what? I'm not afraid of any damn funeral. He's really upset. Man, and that's nearly the end of the scene. They sit in silence for a second, then his mom comes in and goes like, Bobby, time to go, or whatever, as if she hasn't heard a thing, just totally ignoring his clear distress. Interesting family. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. I get the feeling they are repressing some things.
Oh yeah.
Okay. That's not even really a guess. I mean, dude like slapped his son in the face last episode.
My other note is I think like when Garland walks in, which is the father's name, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Garland Briggs. He's like, do we want to talk? And sorry. Also, upon looking up, let me tell you, you are not allowed to look at the Twin Peaks wiki at all, because it, like, specifically they have a lot of like the default image for characters are images of like if they appear in like The Return in season 3 that aired in 2017. And the image that they have for Garland Briggs, I'm not going to tell you anything more about it, but it is fucking anyone who's seen the show or doesn't care about spoilers, feel free to look it up, but it is quite something. Holy shit. You are not allowed to see it, Lily.
Well, you're screen sharing, so I am
screen sharing. Fuck, I thought I turned it off. No. Okay, well then I guess we can say the image of Garland Briggs. Lily, why don't you you just got a little sneak peek. Why don't you describe have you been seeing my screen share the whole time? Have you just been seeing me click on things?
I've been mostly on the notes document, but I saw the roller coaster thing.
Okay, wait. Oh, that's why you heard it. I thought it like came through my headphones.
No. That's so funny.
Okay, Lily, can you describe the image of Garland Briggs that you just saw?
Yeah, holy shit. Black and white, bald head, sort of in space with just like the head and then the cosmos behind him, sort of filling out the shadows of his face.
Yeah,
I have no fucking clue, man. He seems like one of the normalest ones on the show. All bets are off. I keep forgetting that there are like, I have like 20, 30 more episodes to go.
This is like, I've been listening to Media Club Plus, the Friends of the Table podcast, where they've been watching Hunter x Hunter, and like before they watched the show, they had a stream where like each person chose one screenshot from the show completely out of context to show to Jack DeKeat, the person on the show who had like not only never seen Hunter x Hunter, but knew so little about shonen anime that when they were shown a picture of one of the protagonists of Hunter x Hunter, was like, I think I know who that is. I think that's Naruto. And, just being like, here's some screenshots from this anime, like completely out of context. And one of them was in an episode where they're playing dodgeball and there's a gorilla with them.
Hell yeah.
And like, it's the funniest thing where they're like, Jack DeKeat is like, surely this gorilla must be a protagonist. They're like, no, not at all. I do not even know this gorilla's name. And they like just this week released the episode where they're like got to that bit and they're like, I know the gorilla is coming. People are getting ready to play dodgeball. There's no gorilla here yet, but I know that there will be a gorilla. We're on the on-ramp to gorilla. I won't spoil for you if you ever watch Hunter x Hunter how the gorilla shows up. But I feel like we've now made one of these where as we continue through Twin Peaks, you are just going to have to know that eventually we will get Garland Briggs's head floating in the cosmos. And, let's I'll just let that sit with you.
That's really fucking funny. I feel like maybe next season we have a segment called like Path to Briggs' head, where I just guess how the events like lead to his head floating in space.
God, what the fuck was I even saying? Garland walks in. I think he's like, the first thing that Bobby says, he's like, yeah, Garland's like, we should talk. I think Bobby's like, oh, you want to talk about cigarettes now? It's just so silly. He's like, oh my God, my dad's gonna curse me out for smoking cigarettes. I also noticed, okay, this is just Bobby like sits down in the chair by like tossing his leg over it. And I am just going to screen share again because he does it in the same way that like the actor for Riker does in Star Trek The Next Generation, because he had a bad back. So every time he sits down in a chair, he does it like this by just throwing his leg over it.
Oh, I love that. That was so smooth.
I know, right? It was because of his back pain, apparently. But this is the same way that Bobby does that, which is very funny. Anyway, that little interlude aside,
I'm trying to remember like the beginning of this scene, sort of.
I know this is at the cop station. Like, this is the scene where we get Albert's report on Laura's body, but I think it starts with like Hawk is saying that he hasn't been able to find the one-armed man. And
cool.
This is, I mean, before you get into it, I know this is definitely where I had a note again of like the way the show is like handling indigeneity in terms of I think it's Harry who says to Cooper, like, if anyone can find him, the one-armed man, it's Deputy Hawk. And the other things I was like, oh, is he a tracker? And Harry's like, one of the best. Just very like, okay, guys, we have an indigenous man here. He's the tracker. He's gonna find the guy. It's not great. It is a like throwaway line, but it I think I forget if I've said this like on recording about this show, but I think the downside of David Lynch's intuitive like process where he will often just like have an idea and be like, yeah, let's go with that. Like sometimes that means that he has an idea like, oh, this like set designer like looks really cool in between these bed frames. Let's make him a major character. And it's fucking great because that guy like was perfect for that role,
Right.
And sometimes it's just, oh yeah, Hawk, our indigenous cop, let's have him be the tracker. And it's like,
yeah,
I don't know. I think the process of just kind of going with the things that come up, I think make quite a few of these pitfalls in this way,
That makes a lot of sense because that process is identical to just like not worrying about your biases.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So yeah, that out of the way, we then get the actual report from Albert on his kind of like forensics on Laura's body. Do you want to take us away on that?
Yeah, sure. So Albert is sat down with a few little baggies of evidence and like a television screen displaying some like macro pictures, I guess, of Laura. He basically delivers the autopsy report in which we learn a lot of new things. First of all, Laura had cocaine in her system, which I guess we had sort of deduced. We learned that there are little remnants of fibers, different fibers at two parts of her arms. From this, Dale, is it Dale who intuits? No, from this, Albert sort of intuits the position that she'd been tied into. And does Dale at this point say, sometimes my arms bend back?
I think so.
He makes the connection.
Yeah, because Albert kind of like puts his arms back. Like the position saying that she was probably tied in like, almost like a crucifix position. Honestly, like how we, speaking of right after crucifix, that like, yeah, she was tied with like her arms backwards, like held up like that.
That's true.
So another dream moment, which is, and I mean, I do really like this because like when that line was spoken last episode, it felt so grim, and like she gave it with such like a pained like expression on her face,
Yeah, fuck.
And
my goodness,
honestly, man, like I it makes me like, because the line was like I think he asked, are you Laura Palmer? And she says like, sometime, or I feel like I know her, but sometimes my arms bend back. I feel like there's really something,
Ooh.
yeah, right, about like if the violence like that was done here was like taking away Laura's capacity to know herself, you know, like obviously there's like this is like classic dissociation, right, you know, but I don't know, there's really something there about like I, you know, if that person speaking was Laura, you know, like sometimes I feel like I know myself, but sometimes my arms bend back, like I'm put in these situations of violence that like remove me
I'm
from
like taken away from myself.
Yeah, right? Fucking rough.
Wow. Fuck, dude. So like the question you asked me last episode was, in the dream, do you think that is Laura Palmer?
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if she even knows.
If the person who we saw, the beautiful woman who, as Dale calls her, if she knows if she's Laura Palmer or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if this is just like a version of herself that sort of split off at the moment of trauma, you know? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I know you know, said she was kind of like a copy or like a doppelganger, right? And
yeah,
I mean, again, we sure did just get Maddie show up, Madeline, as like a, you know, like a kind of copy of Laura Palmer, but different, you know?
Indeed.
So yeah, I don't know, a lot going on with all this.
To take it further with the autopsy.
Yeah.
Albert mentions that there were claw marks and like a bite wound. At which point Harry says, like an animal or a dog. And Albert is just a fucking dick about it and goes, look, it's trying to think. Because obviously he looks down on everyone in this town.
I couldn't tell if the like, oh, look, it's trying to think is like, it's putting it together, or that was it not an animal? Was it the killer who was like scratching and biting? Both are not fun to think about, but.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know. But I mean, well, yeah, but then you also see, I think he tells us that there was like soap, like this industrial strength soap that was found, like, I think around the crime scene and like a bit away from it as well. And that this was like found on the back of Laura's neck. And that like it wasn't, you know, it was not Laura's like home soap brand. And I think he was saying like his belief is that the killer like used this to wash his hand and then kissed her with like cupping the back of her neck.
Oh,
either before or after death. Yeah, pretty fucking brutal.
This scene for me in some ways is like it's a bit of a point of no return in terms of just heaviness. Like I don't know between this and the fight in the autopsy room how to forget about any of this or wash it clean. You know, in these like quirky, light, funny scenes that follow, I'm just thinking about it for the rest of the episode.
Yeah, no, I mean, and again, like I think this is so much of like what this show is doing is really like ricocheting these tones around and like really making us sit with like, you know, goofy Twin Peaks. Everyone here is such a character. But also there's this like when it sits down for like what Laura Palmer lived through, it's like it drops the kind of like soap opera salaciousness, you know? Like she, you know, like we know that, you know, Josie's husband died and maybe was killed, and like Josie talks about, but like, you know, being afraid for her life, but like, you know, that death feels like the way that someone would, you know, if he was killed, it's like, you know, the way that someone would die or be killed in a soap opera of like, I think it was like a boating accident or whatever, you know, and it's very like, well, you know what I mean? Like I think the level of like gruesome detail and of like just the way like that we get in this, it feels like a different genre than everything else in the show, you know? Like even like,
yes,
like, you know, if Laura's death was connected with, you know, like Leo and the like crime fucking boys and like whatever the fuck is going on at One-Eyed Jack's, like the way that like you know, like criminal element and that like the grim things there are so like over the top in a like cheesy soap opera way, you know? It's like the fucking like casino where, you know, you can also, there are sex workers and they're all in their fucking like card themed outfits, and like the drug deals are like you put money in a football and like give a little speech out in the woods, you know, and like it's all very like it's funny when I was talking about this with my friend Rex, he was like, you should watch Riverdale, and I think there's too much of Riverdale for us to do that, but like, you know, this is all very Riverdale, you know, like it's very
totally.
And like then, you know, the details of Laura's murder are so grim, and they're like so, but like they're presented, and like the image that we get of whatever happened here, it's like it feels like it is from a different world than the rest of the show, because it feels like it's like happening in a different genre than, you know what I mean? Like I'm sure that Leo has killed, like either has or would kill people. You know what I mean? I'm sure that the fucking French Canadians who we'll get to later running One-Eyed Jacks aren't afraid to kill people, but it doesn't feel like that is a like generic, like as in genre. So I'm thinking about the Jeopardy supercut
music genre, giant of this literary genre, genres.
You know, this doesn't feel like a genre that has this like ritualistic, like tying someone up in a crucifix and like having an animal bite pieces out of them, like murder them, kiss them, wrap them in plastic, you know, like it's just so out of place, you know, and it's so like of a different like register of violence, you know?
I totally agree. Yeah, and it makes me, honestly, of course I'm very curious about where all this is going, but it does this interesting thing, which is I feel guilty for watching. I feel like I should look away out of respect. You know? And it really complicates how I feel about everyone else. Like how, okay, obviously like a lot of people are not doing very well. But just how can this town like carry on somewhat as usual? How is the whole genre not changed around this?
No, that's actually really true, because like, yeah, this happens, and like, you know, like obviously like, you know, James is affected, but like Ed and Nadine are still living their like, you know, kind of goofy soap opera life where they are like having like their fucking, you know, affairs and drape inventions, and like, oh no, we have to be married. You know what I mean? Like it is very much like this was a town where a soap opera was happening, and then this like, you know, like Hannibal-esque murder happened, and at the core of the town, but that like it is still trying to continue being a soap opera despite that, you know?
Right. It lends it casts a shadow over everything.
Yeah.
Speaking of Ed and Nadine, do we want to get on to the next one?
Oh, well, I mean, I jumped in, but there's the other part of this scene, right? Where Harry leaves, and then Albert, you know, is saying, Coop, I have a report about the assault on my person. And, you know, Dale is very unhappy with that. I think, you know, he's saying like, you know, I'm not going to sign this. I could bury you in a building in Washington so deep you'd never see the sun. And he gives him a speech about like how, you know, according to Dale, Albert is like not seeing the beauty in Twin Peaks. He says like, I found honor and decency here. Murder is not faceless. And, you know,
these are people who all value life, he says.
Yeah. And he says like, this is a way of life that he thought had disappeared, but he found it here in Twin Peaks.
Yeah. So he gets Albert to fuck off, basically. Yeah. And then I believe he pulls out his tape recorder and says that he's thinking about buying some property in Twin Peaks. Is that here? And I just want to say I don't believe Dale that these are decent people who all value life. Like I like all of them. But especially with what is coming a couple scenes down the road, I don't understand how he can see it that way.
Yeah, I mean, it's so like I thought of this scene when we were looking at the Log Lady intro, when he's like, we're sad because we're ignorant of beautiful things like the truth. And that seems to be like the perspective that Dale is like evincing here. You know, he's saying like, you are a sad person, Albert, because you are ignorant of the truth and the beauty of Twin Peaks.
Yes.
And
this makes sense.
I don't know. I mean, this is like, I think one of the like core things of the show that is like kind of at tension both with itself and I think with us as like, you know, communist transsexual viewers, is that like the show really does believe in the like goodness of small town America, you know, or like Dale really does, you know. And like I think
Dale really does.
The show is really wants, I think the show really wants to believe in it, you know, like it's really, it thinks, you know, like Harry's a good guy, Ed is a good guy. It is really like wants to charm us with, you know, like Nadine is meant to charm us, Lucy is meant to charm us.
It's true.
What's his, oh my god, I'm forgetting his name. Crying cop. What's his name?
Andy
is meant to charm us, you know, like we are meant to be pulled into like the beauty of like the light side of Twin Peaks. But then it is also it contradicts itself, or it like is always putting this intention with how much the show is showing us the like dark side, so to speak, of Twin Peaks.
Absolutely.
And again, both in the like ways that is in like kind of like soap opera genre ways of like everyone's having an affair with each other. You know, there's a seedy underbelly of Canadian drug dealers. But I think like, you know, like most pointedly, like it really like the tension is that, you know, like Dale is, you know, here to investigate the brutal murder of Laura Palmer, you know, and I think that it is very key to what the show is getting at, like how much Dale, whose job here is to like dig into this evil that has like killed the kind of like core of the town, allegedly, right? Like Laura was like the darling that everyone knew and loved, you know? Yeah. And in doing so, he is like finding that more and more parts of the town were implicated in the like, you know, like shady dealings that led to Laura's death, right? Like we've already just in his investigating like found that about, you know, like Leo, Bobby, Ben Horn, like there's, you know, like more and more of the town seems kind of complicit in this. But despite that, like even though he's like only here to dig into the violence and like the evil at the heart of it, he is still mainly sees the good. And he like, you know, like back in the pilot and like episode 1, like he's always going like, oh, look at those ducks on the lake and like, look at those trees, you know, like he is completely charmed by this kind of like small town America charm, right? Despite the fact that he, like narratively, the only reason he is here is because this small town America charm has killed Laura Palmer, right? And like somehow, and like he's not dissuaded, like he's not doing the like, you know, he's not fucking, I think I made this comparison last episode or something, but like he's not True Detective guy, you know what I mean? Like he isn't like, oh, I see the bullshit of this town, like I see why it's all a facade. He is seeing behind the facade, but that never dissuades him from thinking that it's not a facade, that it is real and beautiful and good, you know?
Well put.
Yeah. Lot going on.
Lot going on.
Should we move on?
Let's.
Hello, it's Sadie from the future. You know what I'm going to tell you. TSTV.show.
It's our Patreon. You can go there. Give us $3 measly. You get episodes 2 weeks early. You get bonus episode. If you're listening to this on the public feed, then our very first paid only bonus episode is out, featuring hit video essayist Jacob Geller. We're talking about David Lynch's only Disney movie, The Straight Story. I think it's a really good episode. We had a lot to say. And if you don't give us $3, you will never know. You don't want to die not knowing what we said about it. Give us $3. Okay, enjoy the episode. Bye. Okay, so we get another couple short scenes here in the lead up to the funeral. We check in on Ed and Nadine. We start with like seeing all of her little like tchotchkes and figurines lined up. I love that she has a figurine of herself with the eye patch.
Holy shit, that's what that was?
I think so. I really like it. That's very slay. So yeah, she is running up to Ed. She's saying, "Oh my God, last night was amazing. I'm so glad we're married. When I was in high school, I would see you and Norma together. And, you know, I was so jealous, but I knew that we would end up married." Ed clearly is not delighted about this. Honestly, my note, he is just merely unable to match her freak, honestly. Like, I think it starts because this opens with, he's like, "Oh, is that a new one?" And she's like, "Yeah, I got a new little doodad. Isn't it beautiful?" And he's like, clearly not enamored with it. And I'm like, "Listen, Nadine, if I was with you, I would be enamored with your beautiful little like Christmas tree decoration looking thing."
Well, she lives, especially in this scene, in some sort of little fantasy world, you know.
Yes.
She's very wistful.
Yes.
It seems like everything for her is dialed up to 11.
Oh,
positive
absolutely.
or negative.
Yeah. It feels relevant knowing that Ed and Norma dated in high school, given that they are still, you know, their romance is going. So something happened as to why he ended up marrying Nadine. We don't know what, but
Yeah. Interesting. And also interesting considering from Norma's point of view, because now she has a dude who's in prison. So like, did they start seeing each other again while he was in prison, or have they been together the whole time? I hope we get a little more insight into their history, because they're good together, you know?
Yeah. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, so I just watched the movie Sunset Boulevard this week. And Nadine reminds me a lot of the like one of the main characters who is named Norma, so this might get confusing.
I've actually not seen Sunset Boulevard. What would you want to summarize it?
Yeah, sure. Essentially the premise of Sunset Boulevard is a struggling screenwriter hides from creditors in this like house he takes to be abandoned. Then he realizes that an old Hollywood actress lives there. She hires him to stay and work on this like passion project that she's been plodding away at for decades. And gradually like falls in love with him and becomes very possessive of him. So that is Norma, the old Hollywood star. And she reminds me quite a lot of Nadine, just in that they are both very passionate people who just seem to be somewhere else. You know, the way it's not that they are ignorant of everything going on around them. It's that they intake it and interpret it in a totally different way. I don't understand how Nadine could believe that Ed is like really happy with her or in love with her unless she wanted to convince herself of that, right? Every time we see them together, he just has this like weary look on him. And it was the same in Sunset Boulevard with this younger writer who just lived in this rich woman's house because like, fuck, I don't have a job.
So, okay, Sunset Boulevard, I haven't seen it, but I'm, Lily, on a scale from 1 to 10, how immediately plot relevant do you think the film Sunset Boulevard will be to the plot of Twin Peaks? I know I'm hitting you with this out of nowhere, but just if you were going to guess.
Okay, like, to clarify, you don't mean how many parallels do I think there will be. You mean how much will the movie like be important in this universe?
Either or.
0.
I gotta say, I think I'm gonna give it like a 7, 6.5 or 7.
Oh my fucking god! No
I'm
way.
not fucking with you. This is a real, and I'm gonna like, this is another thing that you will not understand why this is true for another like year and a half of our lives, but that'll go right up there with fucking Garland Briggs's space head as something to think about.
That's so funny. Okay, but yeah, Ed and Nadine are a real they're like the same couple in some ways.
Man, we should watch Sunset Boulevard for a bonus episode too. We
yeah,
got fucking movies
maybe
to watch.
We got movies to watch, baby. We'll get them done.
Well, I guess let's see. I could give you a little. Do you recall a character in Sunset Boulevard, a Paramount executive by the name of Gordon Cole?
Yes, I do. Yeah, he tries to rent a car from one of the characters, and that's sort of his entire presence. Why?
There will be a character in Twin Peaks by the name of Gordon Cole.
That's so funny. Gordon Cole is not that important a character in Sunset Boulevard.
This is, you know what? Do you have any guesses on who would play Gordon Cole, the character named Gordon Cole in Twin Peaks? I'm gonna give you one guess only.
Oh,
and
fuck me! Is it David Lynch?
Who could say? Who could say? Oh my god!
It totally is. That's insane.
I love that you just went to that. Listen, we'll have to see. We'll have to see when we when Gordon Cole shows up.
Unreal.
A lady never kisses and tells.
All right. I guess there's a little bit more in the scene, eh?
Yeah. So James shows up. And I made a note of, I think I forgot if it's when James shows up or like Ed mentions James, and Nadine's like, "Who's James?" Which I feel like this is like definitely, I think this is the biggest like Nadine L so far, because like, you know, her being off in her world about drapes, like go off queen, but James has been like living with them, right? Like Ed's been taking care of him, right?
James is a really important figure in Ed's life. Yeah,
so that's like, this is, I think, definitely the most like, okay, you are actually not really, you know, paying enough attention to the things that are important to your husband.
Yeah.
But so James comes in and saying, you know, he's not going to go to the funeral. And I do love the notion that he's like been biking around sulking and shows up just to say, "I'm not going," and then leaves instead of just not going.
Yeah, right. And not to spoil anything, but he does go.
Yeah, so
like, what's the point?
His land of contrasts is James Hurley. So yeah, from that little scene, we get another little scene checking in on Audrey for this episode, who reveals that there are secret passages in the Great Northern, which she uses to spy on Dr. Jacoby, who is like treating her brother. She's like overhearing her parents arguing about her brother Johnny and like whether he should attend the funeral. And by the way, her outfit, my first note is just Audrey's outfit. Huntress. It's so slay.
That's genuinely, I didn't even write about the secret passages. I just wrote Audrey fucking slays.
Yeah, oh my god. Who would, okay, wait. Top three Twin Peaks characters to queen out with. I think.
Oh man. That's great. Lucy.
I think it's Lucy. I think it's Lucy, Audrey, and Nadine.
Maybe Nadine,
yeah, Lucy,
right?
Audrey, Nadine, and we need to queen out.
Nadine in small doses. I think Nadine is the kind of person you would meet at a party and be like, "Holy shit, you're my new best friend." But then you text them the next week, or you like see what they've posted on the internet, and you just need to take some distance.
Yeah, no, Nadine is like the girl in the girls' bathroom that you're like, you are just hyping each other up, you know?
Yeah. Oh my god.
I had a note of just like what a line of dialogue when she hears her parents arguing is like Audrey's mom refers to Jacoby as let the great Dr. Jacoby handle it. Ma'am, there's nothing great about him, as we can see as Audrey like spies through the little peephole that I guess are in the secret passages here. And he's in there with his fucking 3D glasses still on, easing Johnny to take off the kind of headdress to go to the funeral.
Yeah.
Which to his credit works, I guess. And so
I guess it does.
yeah, from there we transition to the funeral,
Mhm.
and we transition with another real wind in the trees moment, which I just keep jotting down whenever that happens. And actually, I made a note because I forget if we said this explicitly earlier, but I think it was in the pilot, the land project that Ben Horn was trying to get the fucking Norwegians in on was like the Ghostwood development project. And I forget if this is ever said explicitly in the show at any point, but like I think the forest around Twin Peaks is Ghostwood Forest, which again, if we keep being like there's spirits in the woods or maybe in the wood, literal, you know, like Ghostwood sure is a on the nose name that you would give for that. And
yes, indeed.
Again, we keep talking about the kind of wind in the trees as like equivalent to electrical transmission. I think there's like things go again, the spirit, like to have this like wind in the trees as we go to the funeral, the kind of spirit, like, you know, leaving the body to go like join the trees or whatever. I don't know. This all feels, I'm still keeping my little notes on that. So at the funeral, let's see, we have a eulogy given by the priest, whose name, by the way, the wiki has revealed is Clarence Brocklehurst.
Why wouldn't it be?
Yeah.
Look, what other job are you gonna do with that name?
Oh,
you know?
yeah, no, that's you're a reverend for life. The Brocklehurst clan. So
man of the cloth.
Yeah. So he gives a eulogy. I noticed I put a line down. I noted him saying like Laura was impatient for her life to begin, which feels notable. Obviously, she was murdered, but like I don't know. There's just something there about like was her life in Twin Peaks not really her life, you know, in some way.
Sure. I mean, that is definitely something you hear about young people.
Yes.
That life begins once you've graduated high school. But I do like that read. I wasn't sure what to make of that line.
Yeah. No.
One could call it, I don't know, somewhat Lynchian.
Is this just your new bit of just like twice an episode just being like, yeah, this is really Lynchian?
I told myself I was going to do it whenever I wasn't sure what to make of something.
I really like this. My other note here is I love that like the log lady is next to the priest, like with the log, just like somberly attending the funeral with the log still.
It kind of makes it seem like she's one of the most important people at the funeral to be standing right there, and she's holding what looks like tissues to her log.
Yeah, I really love
Bless
that.
her.
So after the eulogy, Johnny Horn, who we just saw, I guess the scene was kind of, you know, to introduce us to him being there. He shouts amen, which is kind of like, you know, he's, you know, we're supposed to read him as kind of like, you know, disabled in such a way that he's like, oh yeah, we're supposed to yell amen. And for a moment, the priest is like, yes, thank you, Johnny. But then Bobby is like, oh, someone's yelling. This is my cue. I can use this to start yelling. He's going, amen. Amen. He starts yelling.
Yeah.
The town is full of hypocrites. And this I definitely wrote down because it starts out, it's kind of like, you know, teenage boy of like, how can you all sit there? Whatever, you're hypocrites. But he says, everybody knew she was in trouble, but we didn't do anything. All you good people. You want to know who killed Laura? You did. We all did.
Holy shit. Yeah.
So, hey, Lily, we might have to stop our game. I think you were right. I think that you're the top of your power rankings. The town of Twin Peaks killed Laura Palmer.
I did have that in there.
Fuck.
So I still believe that's true in some way, but I do want to keep guessing.
No, yeah. So, but
because it's fun.
I mean, and I think that this is really interesting because, like, this is, I think gives the lie to like what, you know, again, like what Dale believes about the town, and what like the idea that this was a, you know, beautiful town where everyone, you know, values life, where this tragedy just happened. But I think like and again, like we, you know, everyone's talking about Laura, it's like she's the town sweetheart, but there's really something about like everyone knew that she was in trouble, but we all didn't do anything, is like, again, I think like really paints a very different image of the town. Is like that there was a like,
Yeah.
You know, even we were talking about this in the pilot, like people seemed like subconsciously ready for Laura to be dead, you know? I don't know. It is like teenager outburst, but this definitely feels like a like attention, we are being alerted to themes of the show, you know?
So the funeral up to this point is interesting too, because it sort of maybe suggests that that people are doing this more for appearances than I would have expected. I mean, so much of the early funeral scene is well, it's this sermon by the priest, which is honestly kind of uninspired, and no one seems that comforted by it. And most of it is just people in ultra close-up, shallow focus, just looking around at each other. Just sort of trying to figure out what to think, trying to make sense of like, what's this guy thinking? What's this guy thinking? It was not like, it was whatever the truth of what people are feeling is, it felt suppressed. And like, even before this whole "you did" thing, I was wondering why. And I wonder if it's that people are, if there's some sort of culpability or guilt that people are bringing to this. Whew. Yeah, "You did" was, man, I didn't think I would ever be rooting for Bobby, but I really respect the hell out of the guy for saying that.
Yeah, Rude Boy Bobby, the Rude Boy Bobby redemption. Sometimes you need a rude dude to say what needs saying, you know? And so, this is the point at which James, you know, against his word, does kind of show up to around the funeral, and is so mad at Bobby kind of yelling all this that he runs in on him, and they're fighting. We get a little slow-mo fight moment. You know, Bobby saying to James, "You're a dead man." In the midst of all this chaos, Leland kind of like collapses onto the coffin, sobbing, which I guess like triggers the like mechanism that was to lower the coffin into the grave. But it gets kind of busted, so he's like losing his mind. He's sobbing. The mechanism is like repeatedly lowering and raising the coffin with him on it. The boys are fighting. I think maybe Big Ed breaks it up. And Sarah Palmer to Leland is like, "Don't ruin this too." So a lot going on, and as it kind of explodes. But my first question is why do we think that, and I don't really have an answer to this, why do we think that that Bobby's like big speech is what makes James want to attack him?
That's a great question.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I just want to throw this out there, because that's definitely like, that jumps out at me in terms of like, you know, like he's just there being sad, and it is like, but I don't know. Do you have thoughts on this?
Well, I thought maybe, I mean, it is a disrespectful thing to do to some extent, at least like superficially, to start shouting at someone's funeral. I could see maybe that that James was just upset that he was lashing out. Another thing being, obviously there's some sort of or was some sort of competition between the two for Laura's like affection and interest, and so they definitely already don't like each other. And I think Bobby previously said, like, camped outside Donna's place, that like, we're gonna have to kill him. Although that feels pretty disconnected to this, because that was about adultery. This is totally unrelated.
Well, and I wonder, like, I don't know, because like, you know, James has been cast very sympathetically so far, you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, entirely.
Yeah,
even.
yeah. But I wonder if there's something about like him, like, you know, being told like we are all responsible for Laura's death, and like, you know, including James. Like I think James's vision of his relationship with Laura, I mean, right, we saw his kind of weird like flashback to her being like, oh, I'm just so happy that you love me, you know. He's like, we're saying like your hair smells so good, you know, like.
Oh my god, yeah.
And I wonder if there's something here about like that, you know, despite Bobby being fucking, you know, rude little Bobby Briggs shithead, he is like more willing to see his own complicity and like the town's complicity in Laura's death in a way that like James doesn't want to. He wants to remember a Laura that like with him was like, you know, pure, and like that they were just, you know, in this like puppy love, you know.
Completely. Yeah. Yeah, Bobby is dragging him like kicking and screaming into reality here, maybe.
And you know, it's kind of a like, you're no better than me. Like if he was like, you know, Bobby isn't good for her, I am, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we got to talk about the Leland on the fucking contraption. Cause this, I think, like when I think about this early Twin Peaks, honestly, I think like in how it does tone. I remember this scene and the like bits from the pilot, I think especially the like principal's announcement, as like, or like the two scenes that jump out at me is like how crazy this show is with tone, because, you know, this Bobby speech, it is like, again, it is like very kind of classic, you know, like soap opera-esque. Like this is very like, we're, you know, it's the funeral, you're all full of shit, all of you, you know. But it's really sells it. It's, and like we're, you know, like it, we really feel that it feels true also, you know. But you know, then like compare that, and like it's so, you know, the pathos is really there, and like, you know, Leland's breakdown is very felt and is very real, but then it is like immediately counterplayed with the fucking like the fucking bouncy contraption that he's on, you know. the humor and the like horror and the pathos are like so like mercilessly, constantly, like unrelentingly being like mashed together, you know.
That's fucking true, because it is physical comedy to fall over onto a casket and then have it slowly lower into the ground, and they try to bring it up and it comes down again. I can't lie to you though, I think well, you know, I'm a big softie. I think I was just so taken aback by the whole rest of the scene that I didn't even find it funny.
I think there's certainly a part of it that's like, I think, you know, I'm certainly watching the show at like a bit more of a critical remove, right? You know, having seen it before.
Sure.
But like, yeah, it is like, so it's such a like, I don't know, it's just like it really kind of undercuts the gravitas. It's like such a like thing to throw into this scene of like, and then like, you know, it immediately then like cuts to, you know, the diner, and Shelley's like, you know, haha, it was so silly, it was going up and down and up and down, you know.
Yeah. Oh my god, at which point I'm like, fuck you, dude. Like how honestly, like how dare she?
Yeah. I mean, did you have any more to say about like the funeral itself?
Oh, you know, there's this parallel that I noticed. So early on, we see the doctor being slapped and falling over Laura's corpse. Then in this scene, we see Leland falling on to Laura's corpse. And a little bit later, we will see another man on top of another woman. And
wait, what's the other man, another woman that we'll see?
Josie and I think Harry.
Oh yeah, huh.
Often in like shot at their level, sort of very like emphasizing, oh, like a full weight of a person is on another person right now. And you know, feels different every time, but just felt worth flagging. I'm not sure what to make of it.
No, I mean, I think there's like certainly something going on there about, you know, the men smothering women, whatever you want to say, you know, like the violence of men putting them there, whatever, you know.
Yeah, maybe our boy Dave has read McKinnon.
Oh my God. Dale Cooper takes on the transsexual empire.
Oh fuck! Oh my God.
Okay. Anyway, so we then go to the Double R Diner. I notice again we have the traffic light here as an interlude. So the like wind in the trees and the traffic light with the little like ominous wind sound are still showing up again and again as our kind of like interlude images. And then we're at the diner. Wanna tell us about that?
Yeah. So as previously hinted at, Shelley is talking to a couple of clients at the counter, joking around about how like Leland's crazy outburst. He fell in the casket. Would you believe it? Hate it. Across the diner, you got Ed and Harry, Deputy Hawk, speaking quietly about how they don't trust who I assume to be Dale for being an outsider, for being not one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I guess they don't mention him by name, but that's the feeling I got. Cooper then joins them, sits at the table. They're like, ooh, well, guess we're changing the topic. And they have him order a slice of pie.
The first thing again, would you like a slice of pie?
Yeah, and he's just delighted at the possibility.
Mm-hmm.
God, he's so cute. Norma takes Dale's order of pie, and seeing how she is with Ed, immediately knows that they are in love with each other.
I think it's like based solely on Ed kind of like flagging Norma over. It's very funny.
Oh, that's so funny.
The master detective at work. He
never misses. Yeah, so at this point, the three men who had been sitting there confide in Agent Cooper that they've been working to bring down this drug running operation for months, and they want to leave no stone unturned. You know, Harry tells Dale that there is some sort of evil force in the woods, and it's been there as long as anyone can remember, as long as anyone's been alive, and then says that they are part of a secret society. Oh, mushroom. She just ran right into a cardboard box.
Good for her.
Good for her. She's having fun.
But yeah, so they have a secret society.
Oh,
I think Dale is like very excited to be like, oh, a secret society.
Yeah, he's hype. Yeah, they tell Dale Cooper about this secret society that they're in to I believe it's the Bookhouse Boys.
So I know earlier you were like, oh, I thought this must be the cops or whatever. How did you have any guess that this is the Bookhouse Boys was the ancient secret society to ward off the evil in the woods of Twin Peaks or whatever?
Oh, yeah. I secretly knew that and just didn't mention. No, I had no fucking idea. I never could have predicted that in 100 years, and I'm delighted. When were the Bookhouse Boys hinted at previously?
Oh, remember there was like, I think it was maybe like in pilot or episode 1, I think Harry... Ed and Harry were talking and they mentioned something about the Bookhouse Boys, and I remember you saying, oh, I just thought that was like the cops because you thought the Bookhouse, like Bookham, the Bookhouse was like the jail.
Yeah. I totally would not have questioned that if you hadn't mentioned it, honestly.
I love their like stupid little like I think they say like, yeah, we'll go to the Bookhouse, and they all kind of like brush their finger on their forehead and like their fucking secret fucking gesture of the Bookhouse Boys is so silly.
It's so silly, and I mean, doing it in public like that, people are going to catch on.
Funny. Yeah, I mean, they take them to the Bookhouse. It is full of books. Yeah, what else is there?
Yeah, they walk in. It looks a little bit like a bar or a lodge, and we find
A lodge.
James there at a table with someone who I don't recognize, and also a gentleman who has a handkerchief or napkin or something in his mouth. He's like bound and gagged.
Uh-huh.
Who we learn is Bernard Renault.
Oh my god, we're really throwing the French on there.
I gotta flaunt it, If I've got any experience with any stuff in the show, it's the proud Québécois nation.
Yeah. This shit is so funny. I mean, one, I'm obsessed with like, hey, hello, FBI agent. Welcome to our town. You can join our secret club. The first thing we've done is extra legally kidnap a Canadian citizen.
Yeah, insane.
And Dale's just like, yeah, I see no problem with this.
He's not worried about it. Yeah, they interrogate him there with Dale's full support and cooperation.
Well, and just like, I know we talked about this. I forget if it was like on recording or not, but like, it is so funny how much like, this, like with where Twin Peaks is, like across the border would be in fucking like British Columbia. And the show is just like, yeah, British Columbia, the home of the dastardly Québécois, the French Canadians, the fucking, the famous BC French Canadians are here.
Maybe the least French province in the country.
Well, and like, I don't know, I think this is like this is one of the only shows that like, truly does Québécois oppression. Like this show is truly like, across the border, the fucking lascivious and violent Québécois are waiting to smuggle drugs in and take our women to their card houses. You're so
right. And oh my god, his fucking accent. His accent is like offensively bad. I have it down as like, it's like halfway between bad French and bad like patois,
It's so silly. Yeah.
He reminds me of that old like TV clip of a white woman on TV being told to do a Jamaican accent and just going,
my god,
Biekbe, or whatever. Like, I have the line here I have is like, he the bartender, isn't he?
yeah. It's so good. So yeah, he is Jacques Renault's brother, who was the bartender. I think it's in this scene also where they mentioned that, yeah, they think like back in the pilot when they got in a fight, like the Ed like collapsed way too fast. I think maybe even before he got punched or something.
Yeah.
Or and he's like, oh, I think he got slipped something by Jacques Renault, presumably to throw him off his tail, his fucking pernicious Québécois drug smuggling tail. So yeah, they've caught Bernard here trying to sneak across the border with some cocaine.
Which he insists is not for selling, it's just for his personal use.
Yeah. And again, I don't know, this is like very, like the way that the show is treating all this and like the way that the characters are treating all this are, I think the show is not very critical of the idea of like, yeah, let's just extra legally kidnap this guy because he's what the fuck. It's like Ed is like, oh, someone's selling drugs to high schoolers. That's everyone's business. It's very goofy. This is like, certainly I think the, Twin Peaks doesn't really know what politics is, right? Just kind of a David Lynch being like the idea that fucking, whatever this, these drug guys, we gotta stop them, is kind of in the same, like, I don't know, it's considered, I think, in the same kind of like breadth of like the seedy underbelly of Twin Peaks as like Laura Palmer's horrible murder. But it's, it's a bit dumb. It's a bit goofy, but
yeah.
I think I'm charmed just by how fucking goofy the fucking French Canadian Bernard is.
Yeah, I think they should let him go just on the strength of that charm,
Yeah. But yeah, so he's saying that I think they want to find his brother Jacques, and he's like, yeah, as you say, he's like, you can find him at the Roadhouse. He's the bartender, isn't he? And yeah, I mean, here. So what happens? What do we see Jacques doing?
Yeah, we see Jacques outside walking toward the Roadhouse. It's just a quite quick little scenelet in which he notices like a red light, like a old cop car light flashing, rotating on the roof. He runs away, he freaks out, and he calls Leo. He lets Leo know that the light is on at the Roadhouse, which I guess must be like some sort of sign of trouble. That
I think he calls it the bust light.
The bus light. Yeah. So I guess Bernard left him like flip that on as a sign to like not come close, So Leo says like, shut up, I'm coming. He goes to help him deal with it.
I think the implication is like he wants Leo to help like smuggle him back across the border or something.
Yes, okay, that makes sense. Shelley enters as Leo is leaving. She pulls out a beautiful little silver gun.
Yeah, it's her lady's gun.
Yeah.
It's like a pearl little gun. Like handle. It's so funny.
And she hides it in a little secret compartment.
Yeah.
And I hope she uses it and shoots that man.
Hell yeah. So yeah, from there we go and see what is happening with Josie, who has Harry over at the Packard estate. She is very worried. She says something horrible is going to happen, which again, a real like, have a character just like announce something horrible is going to happen. Definitely we are now certainly like, looking out for Josie and, having a character say that out loud to the camera is definitely, setting up some stakes.
Yeah. And she says it like it's a premonition, but really it's a very well-founded fear.
Yes, no, definitely. So she says, I think she's maybe said she heard over the phone that Catherine and Ben Horn want to take her out. She thinks that they want the land and the mill, etc. Unfortunately, she, I guess, just like has her intercom on, talking right next to the intercoms that I guess you either can't turn off or she turned it on or Catherine has a master control because elsewhere in the estate, Catherine is listening. And of course, Josie goes to show Harry the 2 books that we saw her find the other time. But now there's only 1 book. And it's so funny. Then the cut to like Catherine holding book 2 standing at the intercom smugly is so funny.
Yeah, just holding it to her chest so conspicuously.
I also like laughed at like Harry looks at the book that is in the safe there for like 2 seconds and he's like, nothing unusual here, sir, you're not an accountant. Like what, you think that the unusual book would just have like yeah, we spent $300 here on crime.
Yeah. How would you know, King? Little discouraging for Josie.
Yeah, she thought she was onto something, but what do you know? The second book has been spirited away. Catherine has it. She puts it in her even more secret compartment in her desk. Not, the secret safe was not enough. However, she's not that good at keeping secrets because Pete walks in and sees her putting it there. He is, of course, on fish watch, as he always is. He wants his tackle box because that man is #fishing every day. Pete asks the tackle box. Catherine really, cuss him out. Is like, now listen, if you really want to get in my safe, and showing that she knows that he did his little key trick the other day. Just ask me to my face. Very silly. I think we actually cut to other scenes, then come back to this one, but I'll just finish it up here because I feel like we like have, Josie and Harry again. Josie is, worried, just like, what if it's, if they killed Andrew, he seems to have died in mysterious circumstances, so for the land and the mill and whatever, could they kill me too? And Harry is really on his like that one post about like guys in giallo movies are just like, don't worry your pretty little head, Clarabella, there's no such thing as murder. Like,
oh my God.
He's really just like, no, don't worry about it. Anyway, let's fuck.
That's fucking funny. So Josie seems to imply here that that Catherine maybe murdered her husband or had him killed. Like that was my takeaway, right? So she suspects
who would have been Catherine's brother.
Yeah, Josie's husband, Catherine's brother.
Yeah.
Possibly for discovering this wrongdoing, this embezzlement or fraud. And so she's worried that now that she's onto it, she's a target as well.
Yeah.
Man, I hope it all works out for her. She's just a humble mill owner trying to do what's right.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, this is definitely like a, Harry, I think if my girlfriend was like, hey, I have reasonable belief that these people are going to kill me, I would not just be like, it's okay, I'm a strong man, I'll protect you, let's have sex.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about this one, buddy.
No, come on, man. She deserves better than that.
Yeah.
Also, yeah, just quick side thing. There's so many like false walls and bottoms and things in this episode in general. I think we've seen like 4 separate ones, and I just love that. I think more houses should have those for real. It makes the show feel like a Metroidvania, discovering all these new little areas.
Yeah, now that I've got the fucking double jump, I could go and get to the new Laura Palmer secret in the Great Northern.
Yeah, you get it.
I think my favorite of these that we've seen was Jacoby's secret coconut.
Oh my fucking god, right? Like, why? It's his house. Why do you need to hide something in a coconut? But I'm glad he does.
So anyway, speaking of Jacoby, our next little scene is Cooper's going to the grave at night, and a mysterious fucking cloaked figure approaches, who is, of course, Dr. Jacoby, with some flowers to put at the grave. Just the way this man is never dressed normally in his entire life. He's a fucking like cape. That man is wearing a cowl.
He's dressed like Zorro.
Yes, literally. It's fucking like this guy's anyway, he's not normal. So I guess this is his, despite that he's a freak, he, whatever, has his feelings about Laura that he wants to communicate alone. Unfortunately, Cooper is there, goes up to him, and the psychologist, Jacoby has his emotional kind of fucking confession here, this midnight confession to Dale that, he's not really a good person. He only pretends to care about everyone in town. But that Laura changed all that. I don't know. Do you have things to say about this?
It is interesting to learn that Jacoby has a conscience, because when we first meet him, he just seems like the skeeviest dude. Mm-hmm. To understand that he feels guilty about how he treats people is interesting. And the thing about therapists, this was when I was like in therapy as a teenager, this was a big hang up I had. Like, they're listening, but they don't really care about me. Like I think wanting to be understood by like the people in my life more than a stranger. And basically like the therapist I talked to told me like, yeah, but that's normal. That's fine. Don't worry about it. And I've sort of just like adopted that and thought, yeah, like they don't need to be personally attached. So is it even unethical that Dr. Jacoby doesn't like personally feel invested in his patients? Like, what do you think of that?
I mean, I don't know. It's funny. I had a similar thing where like, I know when I was younger, all the therapists that I saw, they like would never take off the fucking 3D glasses, I'm like, man, put the fucking Hawaiian shirt away. I'm trying to get real here, No, but I wonder if like there's something, because he's like, the idea that Laura changed that is bizarre. I mean, like, we know that he seems to have had some fucking strange little fucking like sex affair with Laura.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's something here about like if this connects to the things earlier where the log lady is like, we're ignorant of beauty, and the like Dale was chastising Albert for not recognizing like the beauty in the people of Twin Peaks and their stories and whatever.
Right.
I wonder if this is hitting the same note of like, he was sad because he was ignorant of the truth or the beauty or whatever of like actually caring about the people of Twin Peaks, and that Laura changed that and made him care about them, I guess.
Or just care about her, even just care about like find the
Yeah.
capacity to care.
But which, again, if he was like sleeping with her is, kind of gives the lie to itself again.
Yeah.
But I feel like this feels to me like we are should read this as like instructions on how to engage with Twin Peaks as like a piece of media,
Oh, how so?
Well, I guess I'm thinking again about like where we see Albert being chastised for being too clinical, for only thinking about like dissecting the mysteries of Laura's body and not thinking about like what she means to the town emotively. And then we get, like there's this thing of like that we'll be sad if we're ignorant to beauty. We'll be sad if we're ignorant to like the beauty in Twin Peaks, that, and it like, we've been very critical about what that beauty is, like how real that is or what it's covering up, but I think the show wants to believe in that as an idea.
Huh.
And I think it's saying like that if you don't care, it's funny because this was very much, I think, like how I was watching the show when I first watched. Like I said, I watched the first season in high school and it didn't really click with me because I was more interested in the weird shit and the mystery than I was in all the soap opera stuff. And I didn't really know how to take it. I was like, is this stuff making fun of TV? And I wasn't able to just be like, oh, this stuff is just really charming and funny, like when
that's it.
Like we're getting the Nadine and like Lucy and Andy, like all this stuff is like, I think we're meant to be charmed by that. But I think if you're not, and if you're someone who's just in it for the mystery, you're kind of going to not have a good time with the show, you're kind of missing something there. And I feel like this, like, because we've had all of these like characters come and say like that there is like an issue with not recognizing the people of Twin Peaks and their stories and like the beauty or goodness that is there,
Right.
And like this feels like a kind of like, don't just engage with Twin Peaks as a like clinically, right? Don't just want to dissect it for clues.
Totally.
You have to spend time with the people and their stories also.
You have to feel the emotions.
Yeah. And I mean, again, like if just thinking about this, like as a fictional character saying this, like Laura did change the fact that we care about the stories of the people of Twin Peaks because her death is what made us be able to see it on the television screen. You know what I mean?
That's very true. Oh, thanks for putting all this out there.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think these are also, again, this is like not entirely original Sadie ideas, but I've definitely kind of amalgamated from like reading and thinking about stuff about the show over the years. But like, I think that there's definitely, like in the way that like kind of, all of David Lynch's stuff, certainly that we have watched is like a little bit like self-commentary metafiction on like what it means to make a movie and to make a TV show, I think that there's definitely a amount of like things in Twin Peaks that are also just like trying to talk about Twin Peaks itself as a show and like what it means to make a show. I mean, even like all the stuff we've said about like kind of capturing Laura and like the dreams and, like capturing someone's soul in a camera and like how that is beautiful, but also kind of fucked up and kind of violent. And yeah, I don't know. I think there's a lot of Twin Peaks that is like, what is it like to make a show? And also what does it mean to watch a show and like what we get out of it,
If I could say something to that effect, The show really makes me feel like an active participant in a way, like almost a character in the town. The way that I have coped with Laura's death in the show, the way I interpret everyone's reactions and judge them, it makes me feel like I am just like a part of this ecosystem, you know? And I've really enjoyed that. I feel like there's no character who I can say is uniquely like, oh, this one's right, morally and about what happened. And there's no one I can totally dismiss either. I've just been developing this like very complicated web of relationships that sort of all contradict and like are tested every episode in a way that, yeah, makes me feel like a part of it. And I'm saving something for the who killed segment at the end, but I'll bring that back around shortly.
I mean, I think that's a like very prescient thing that you've picked up on, because the actual goal of this podcast is that it is weaving a incantation where I am going to trap you in the show of Twin Peaks by the end of this. Yeah, you're just going to be in there, so watch out. Okay, so our actual last scene is at the Great Northern. Coop, Dale, and Hawk are sitting, and they're like, people are dancing, and they start talking about the soul. I forget even how we lead into this.
It's that, well, Dale just asks Agent Hawk, yeah, do you believe in the soul?
Oh,
to hear,
sure. Just straight into
hear
it.
about his like cultural beliefs about that, I guess.
Sure. So, you know, again, I think this is the show. It is time for Twin Peaks to go, the indigenous people and their beliefs. In ways that are questionable.
And that guy is he's a good actor and he's an interesting character, and it feels like he's mostly around to be like, this is the native perspective on X.
Yes, definitely.
It feels quite exoticizing.
Yeah, it's not great. Nonetheless, I feel like this is also, I mean, it's also like very kind of classic thing of this, of like, I think this is like David Lynch wants to say something about the nature of souls in the fictional world of Twin Peaks to like make the audience start thinking about it. And there's like, oh, how do I communicate that this is like true about the world? I know, let's say that, you know, fucking Tibet or like, you know, this indigenous guy like has access to this knowledge and is just going to share it with us, you know?
Yeah, that's totally what it is.
Because like, you know, I don't know really anything about kind of like West Coast indigenous like perspectives on, you know, the soul. I don't know if this is I would strongly suspect that this is just something that David Lynch just wrote up and is like, yeah, that's what this is the I think he calls it a Blackfoot legend. Is that actually true? I don't know.
No idea.
But certainly it's definitely just a, you know, David Lynch being like, oh yeah, sure. Yeah. These guys' cultural beliefs is what I want the people to think about the show. But yeah, so in saying that, you know, people have two souls. They have a waking soul, which kind of like animates the body, and the dream soul, which can travel and go to places, including the land of the dead. So, you know, this certainly like is very we're thinking about Dale's dream, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like maybe there's even something about like, is the land of the dead a television? Like when we are watching a television show, is that the land of the dead, you know?
Oh, sure.
It like in that, you know, it is kind of, you know, what was it in the shadow of future past the magician longs to see, you know, like we are seeing the past as it was captured. And like, if, you know, capturing someone in camera in this way, it kind of like takes their soul, you know, like is like, you know, it is kind of dead in the fact that it's already happened and is unchangeable, you know?
That's very true.
I think, yeah, a lot going on. Many, but I don't know. This is, I think something again that is like a idea of two souls. That is a theme that I'm sure will come back later, but I do wish that it was introduced in a way that was not just like, the Blackfoot legend.
Yeah, it feels like beyond the obvious racism of that, it's also just sort of lazy storytelling.
Yeah, it's just a shortcut to like, this mystical truth, you know?
Yeah.
I will note that we, as I think like he starts talking about two souls, that is when we see Leland, who is like dancing to the dance, but then no one will dance with him. And similarly to the previous episode, where he did this in the living room, he's having a breakdown because no one will dance with him, hoping, you know, of course, that Laura could have been there to dance with him. And he is dancing and sobbing, and, you know, eventually they have to cut the music out, and Dale and Hawk kind of escort him out.
My goodness.
This is like, I do really like this, and like kind of all these Leland moments of just like in like breakdown mania, like which sounds like a fucking like GameCube game. The phone game. But you know, like he's just like in this manic like breakdown state where he's just like moving between like just sobbing and like being compelled to dance.
No, it's true. Just like last time. When we first see him in this scene, he's sort of like swaying, I think, with his eyes closed, like unaware, in a way that really reminded me of Audrey in the first scene.
Yeah.
In a way that makes me think like he is obviously somewhere else mentally, but like maybe they're in the same place, wherever they're daydreaming or like wherever they are present, you know?
You know, actually, another thing, more I think about it, about like the kind of two souls idea, this does also, if I think about it metafictionally, I feel like there's something there about like the actor and the character, you know what I mean? Like,
oh, sure.
To wander into the land of the dead is like to wander into a fictional world to like play this character or something. And even, I mean, honestly, it also makes me think about Madeline, who showed up, right? Like, is this the soul of Laura Palmer, like put into, like, has that wandered into Madeline? Is that why she looks like that? You know, I don't know. This is all just me throwing shit at the wall, but I don't know. There's, you know, I think this is how I think this kind of like thematics, how David Lynch uses that, is just kind of like have something that throws a bunch of stuff at the wall and let it percolate. With
Fish
or without
style.
a face. Yeah, exactly. And yeah, so that's the last scene, and then we close again on the red traffic light as credits roll, which keeps coming up again and again. And like I'm just electricity. I guess a traffic light is kind of like suspended on power lines, if we're thinking about like the wood of the trees and the electricity, you know, like being combined into one thing, you know? Or is it just saying like stop? Go no further. I don't know. I don't really have a concrete take on it, but they sure keep showing it to us, you know?
They sure keep showing it to us. And we will remember that in, I believe, the very first episode, well, the pilot, there's a mention that the last time James sees Laura is when she runs off the bike at the red light.
Yeah. So yeah. That's the episode. Our my next header here is just Lily's Nightmare Corner. Have you yet to be able to successfully inculcate Twin Peaks dreams in yourself?
No dice, I'm afraid. I'm holding on hope because my dreams have been very like nocturnal and spooky, but not directly Twin Peaksy.
All right, well, I'm a believer. We'll keep it up, you know?
Yeah, we'll keep it going.
Now, you said you had some Twin Peaks power rankings to...
Yes. So I want to remind folks, last week's Who Killed Laura Palmer power rankings were: third place, the town of Twin Peaks; second place, Mike and Bob, the Dream guys; and first place, the Log.
Of course, yeah. But wielded as if, you know, as if like, did you have was there any thoughts on who wielded it?
Oh, I think I might have said Mike or Bob.
As if like, so the Log as a character is kind of being like Bob is or Mike or Bob could be working, you know, through it to just wield it, use it as an implement to kill.
Precisely.
Aided by the town of Twin Peaks.
Okay, so I want to adjust this slightly this week. I think given Bobby's speech at the funeral, the town of Twin Peaks has to jump up to first place here. I'm going to give it to them. Mike and Bob are still in the running, but we didn't really see them this time. I'll put those guys in second. But in third place, a new entry, I want to put we, the viewers of the show.
We needed her to die so we could see.
Yeah. I feel very complicit in just the grossness at this point. And honestly, I'm putting that there out of instinct. But I feel like I could be onto something. So let's see.
Well, huge news for the log stands in the audience. The log has cleared the allegations. You can walk free.
I can't promise she won't be back.
Let's see. Okay, I was like, I love that you also put in the things from what you guessed last time of what would happen next time on Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
Where we said Leo continues to be violent. Bobby plans a retaliation. Bobby steals the pastries from the diner and smuggles them to Canada. Oh, and Josie tells cops about wrongdoing with ledgers. Ding, ding, ding. I see you've written.
I was pretty fucking pleased with myself.
Yeah.
Listening back to last week's episode. Yeah. So technically Josie did tell the cops about the wrongdoing.
It's
true. I don't think she did it. I think she did it in Harry's capacity as a boyfriend. More than anything, but he's a cop, so I'll take it.
Yeah. All right. What's happening next episode?
Okay, well, here's the thing. I'm bummed. After I finished this episode, I saw the next episode like summary pop up on screen. So I know it has to do with Mike and Bob, or well, the one-armed man. So I've been spoiled on that. I don't know what's gonna happen.
No, tell me, what do you think the one-armed man does? Or fuck it. I want you to commit.
Okay, sure. Well, I think they successfully track him down and question him. That's kind of boring.
Yeah, no, I want what do you think he tells us, or what do you think he like is or does in his life, you know?
I think he is
or does he track down them?
Oh, interesting. I feel like you're giving me red herrings.
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, I think he works at the hospital.
Uh-huh.
In some sort of job that you can still do after losing an arm. I do think he lost the arm as the result of some trauma and it was not like congenital.
Do you think he cut it off, like you said in the dream? What I want you to swing for the fences. What is Mike's revelation?
He definitely knows a Bob. I don't know about the specifics of the dream. I feel like a lot of it could be... Okay, here's an actual specific guess. I think he works in the segment of the hospital that is all blue and funky with a bright, like, blue light. I think he has the tattoo of Fire Walk With Me, but it's backwards.
Ooh. Like the letters themselves are backwards?
Like it's a mirror image, you know?
But we have got some mirror images, certainly.
Indeed we have. I will say I'm not confident on that, partly because I think that might be the arm that he cut off, but I'm not certain. Let's see. I think...
You're really on the doppelganger train.
I guess I am. Yeah. Well, also just, I know this is something that Lynch is like interested in. And there seem to be so many people stepping in to replace other people.
So if that's our A plot, what's our silly B plot?
Yeah, what's our silly B plot? Okay. Oh, I think Norma's husband gets out of prison. And takes a job at the diner, but they make him wear a silly little apron so he stays humble.
I love how this like makes it sound as though it's like a like magical, like it's stealing his powers. The silly apron will prevent his dark powers from emerging.
Oh my god. No, I just think it'll keep Ed safe because he'll be too emasculated to do anything. At least I hope.
Yeah. All right. I believe it. Okay. Well,
All right.
that's TSTV.
That's TSTV. Thanks for tuning in this time, folks.
Yeah. And
The plot continues to thicken.
That's so
you know,
true. This
I'm
shit's
really
getting
looking
so
forward to
thick, man. We're fucking wading through it. It's like mud. It's gonna be like cheesecake by the end of this. All right. Have a good week, everybody.
Yeah, see ya, folks.
Bye.
Bye. TSTV is hosted by Sadie Avery Lake and yours truly, Lily Alexander. Our music is by Jamie Page, the art is by Maya Fernandez-Giles, and this episode was edited by Tarek Jamal. If you have any questions or comments or just want to get in touch, please email us at hellotstv@gmail.com. We may respond in a future episode. To support the show and gain access to our monthly bonus episodes, head over to tstv.show. Thanks for listening. See you next time.
Content warnings for episode 4, The One-Armed Man. There's some casual sexism in there for sure, and we start to get into the show. I mean, the episode's called The One-Armed Man, and it is featuring a one-armed man in a way that I think is clumsy. There's definitely leaning on some ableism, some like, whoa, that's kind of crazy. Nothing huge, I would say, on that front beyond that, but it's certainly beginning a plot line of that is on some resting on a basis of some ableism. So be advised.